Our story starts in 1950 on a warm June night in New York City's Times Square. It was a normal evening, people were walking through the square, cars were bustling in the streets, and then something strange and tragic happened. A strangely dressed man was standing in the crosswalk, looking very lost. He looked around at the streetlights and the signs in a panicked, confused way, almost as if he was seeing these things for the first time. Just then, the traffic light changed, and the man began to run to the sidewalk, but he didn't make it. He was hit by a taxi and killed instantly. The dead man looked to be about 30 years old, had mutton chop sideburns, and was dressed in what looked like Victorian-era clothing. When the police arrived, they searched his body and found some out-of-date items. The man had $70 in old banknotes, a copper beer token that had the name of a saloon on it, a receipt for the upkeep of a horse and carriage from a livery stable, business cards with the man's name on it as well as his address, and a letter that was addressed to the address on the cards. The letter was dated 1876. None of the items found on the man showed any signs of aging. The name on the business cards was Rudolf Fentz. Captain Hubert Ream of the New York Police Department would take charge of the case and find out who this man was. The police were unable to locate the livery stable listed on the receipt in any of the address books they looked through. The saloon was also looked for, but like the stable, the police were unable to find it. When the officers went to the address listed on the cards, they found a business, but no one there had heard of Rudolf Fentz. Furthermore, the name Rudolf Fentz did not show up in directories, and when the police ran a fingerprint check on the man, they still came up with nothing. The police had exhausted almost all of their leads, but Captain Ream had found a bank account that bore the name Fentz. When he contacted the bank, they informed Ream that the owner of the account, Rudolf Fentz Jr., had died 5 years earlier, but that he was survived by his wife, and gave Ream her contact information. Ream contacted the widow, and she informed him that her husband's father was named Rudolf Fentz. She claimed that Rudolf Fentz had gone on a walk one evening in 1876, when he was 29 years old, and that he never returned home. Following up on this lead, Ream checked the missing persons records from 1876 and found the description of Rudolf Fentz. The description matched the dead man to a T. But how could have this happened? Was Rudolf Fentz an accidental time traveler? The tale of the possible time traveler was published in the May-June 1972 issue of the Journal of Borderland Research, and decades after this, the story became popular among paranormal research communities. This journal was published by the Borderland Sciences Research Foundation, a society that studied UFO sightings and gave esoteric explanations. The paranormal societies generally accepted the story of Rudolf Fentz as truth and even proof of time travel. But is it true? Chris Aubeck set out to uncover the truth behind the Rudolf Fentz story. He first learned about the Rudolf Fentz story when he read Carlos Canales' 6-page report on it in the Spanish magazine Más Allá. This piqued Aubeck's interest, and so he began his own research. He looked through official records, databases, telephone directories, and even got in contact with the New York Police Department. He found nothing to prove that Rudolf Fentz was ever a missing person, let alone a time traveler that was killed by a taxi. He found that the story had been published in the Journal of Borderland Research, and was able to trace it back further to a science fiction anthology titled Tomorrow the Stars that was released in 1952. He then published his findings in the Akron Beacon Journal and was contacted shortly thereafter by Pastor George Murphy. The pastor claimed that the story was just a little bit older than the anthology. The original story was written by none other than Jack Finney. Finney is a renowned sci-fi writer, best known for his novel The Body Snatchers. In 1951, he wrote a short story called I'm Scared, and it was published in Collier's magazine. I'm Scared is a compilation of a couple stories of people experiencing spontaneous time travel. The case of Rudolf Fentz is the final one. If you'd like, you can read the story for yourself. I will add a link to it below in the description. The entirety of I'm Scared starts on page 24 and picks back up on page 78.
Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, I have more for you on my channel, so go ahead and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget to leave a like on this video. Also, if you want to be updated on my newest uploads, hit the bell. I have social media links in the description if you'd like to follow me. And as always, stay safe, take care of each other, and sleep tight.